I am in the woods. We are giving God our first fruits, first thing, renewing our mind in this chapter by chapter Bible study series. We have been doing this ever since 1 Samuel, and we just are going to keep on going. We all know that God is in control no matter what, so we'll see what happens. This chapter has quite a plot twist, so buckle up, baby. Last chapter in 16, we learned the importance of hearing both sides of the story, with David heading towards the wilderness and kind of like a fugitive. Again, it's interesting how the Lord will take us back sometimes to get us where we were the closest to him. Absalom is now trying to take over. He's in the castle. He is seeking advice from Ahithophel, who switched sides on David and is now his advisor. Ahithophel's advice, we found out in the last chapter, was kind of like advice straight from God. He's very wise, very successful, and strategic in his advice that he gives. Chapter 17. Ahithophel said to Absalom, "Let me choose 12,000 men, and I will set out in pursuit of David tonight. I will attack him while he is weary and discouraged, throw him into a panic, and all the people with him will scatter. I will strike down only the king and bring all the people back to you. When everyone returns, except the man you're looking for, all the people will be at peace." This proposal seemed right to Absalom and all the elders of Israel. Then Absalom said, "Summon Hushai the Archite also. Let's hear what he has to say." So Ahithophel wants to catch David while he's weak, which is really good advice. Absalom also wants to seek Hushai the Archite, which is actually David's friend. He's acting as a mole to help counteract Ahithophel's advice. Hushai's advice is a lot different than Ahithophel's. Ahithophel wants to attack quickly with skilled soldiers and take David out now, and Hushai is kind of telling him, let's build a big army, let's strategically do this, let's get so many troops that we fall on David like dew on the ground, basically buying David some time in a couple of days and helping him regain his strength. In verse 14 it says, "Since the Lord had decreed that Ahithophel's good advice be undermined in order to bring about Absalom's ruin, Absalom and all the men of Israel said the advice of Hushai the Archite is better than Ahithophel's advice." So Ahithophel's advice was good, but God wanted it to be undermined by Hushai's because it's not time for Absalom to reign. It's not his time, and so God needs to bring about his ruin. Hushai then told the priests Zadok and Abiathar, "This is what Ahithophel advised Absalom and the elders of Israel, and this is what I advised. Now, send someone quickly to tell David, don't spend the night at the wilderness ford. Be sure to cross over the Jordan, or the king and all the people with him will be devoured." So there were three informants that were passing along information to David, and they didn't want David to be seen or David's men to be seen at the gate because that would be a dead giveaway. There was an interesting moment with these informants. They ended up getting seen. They had to hide in a well so Absalom's men wouldn't catch them. Then they came out of the well and went and told David what they were supposed to tell him. Told him, "Get up and immediately ford the river, for Ahithophel has given this advice against you." So David and all the people with him got up, crossed the Jordan. By daybreak, there was no one who had crossed the Jordan. I'm blown away by this next part. I did not see that coming. When Ahithophel realized that his advice had not been followed, he saddled his donkey and set out for his house in his hometown. He set his house in order and hung himself, so he died and was buried in his father's tomb. Now, this isn't the loop that we get thrown, okay? This is only a part of it. Like, wow. Dug a little bit into this on, why would he do this? Why would he kill himself? So it could have been the rejection of his counsel. It could have been the pride and the humiliation, because that would be publicly humiliated. You have someone with a basically perfect track record, and then you have someone else giving advice, and then they kind of like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, sure, we're gonna go with this guy. That's super embarrassing. And then also we have to remember that Ahithophel was a brilliant strategist. He was brilliant. And so if he knew that Hushai's advice was bad and that it was going to bring ruin to Absalom, he doesn't want to get killed for treason, and he probably sees that this is not going to end well, and then he recognizes what has happened. Here is the plot twist on this. So I was just digging around a little bit about Ahithophel and reasons why he would want to kill himself about this, and I find out that Ahithophel is Bathsheba's grandpa. Ahithophel was Bathsheba's grandpa. How much shame and how many issues must have come about from what David did to Bathsheba's husband Uriah. I wonder, this is just speculation, it doesn't mention in here, this is just what I have a feeling that there may be some bitterness. And here's where I found this. The Bible mentions in 2 Samuel 11:3, it talks about how Bathsheba is daughter of Eliam, and then Eliam is the son of Ahithophel. So that is his granddaughter. It blew my mind. That might have been a motive to why he ended up betraying David. Wild stuff. David is being hunted again. David had arrived at Mahanaim by the time Absalom crossed the Jordan with all of the men of Israel. Now, Absalom had appointed Amasa over the army in Joab's place. Amasa was the son of a man named Ithra, the Israelite. Ithra had married Abigail, daughter of Nahash. Abigail was a sister to Zeruiah, Joab's mother, and Israel and Absalom camped in the land of Gilead. Maybe we'll need that later. We'll see. David came to Mahanaim. Shobi, son of Nahash, from Reba of the Ammonites, Machir, son of Amiel, from Lo-debar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite, from Rogelim, brought beds, basins, pottery items. They brought wheat, barley, flour, roasted grain, beans, lentils, honeys, just all of these things. And they had reasoned the people must be hungry, exhausted, and thirsty in the wilderness. These people named brought hospitality to David and his people in the wilderness while David is being hunted again. And sometimes we are just called to be hospitable when people are struggling, when people are in the wilderness exhausted. We don't have to fix it. We don't have to tell them all these things. We don't have to lay scripture on them. We just have to be there, be hospitable, give them a meal, sit with them, and be with them. But laying scripture on them isn't bad either. Again, we have the sovereignty of God's will, the devastation and embarrassment that comes with betrayal. David is being hunted again. I can't help but think that this is a way that God is trying to bring him closer to him again. But God is still kind and good even when we're in the wilderness. He brings people alongside of us to be hospitable and to make things a little less stingy. The Bible mentions relationships for reasons. He mentions relatives, and he wants to give us those details. Knowing that Ahithophel was Bathsheba's grandfather put things into a little bit more perspective for us. And perhaps the bitterness was what led him to his own downfall and betrayal of David. And we all know what happens when you touch God's anointed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next 4 a.m. on chapter 18.